Alright, what up? Boy Rob. Hold on. See, just cleaning things up, getting right when I'm riding and filming. But my video today is actually an extension of another video I did called The Idea of Being Black. And this is a kind of a continuation of that video, but it's also inspired by another Facebook friend of mine. I just started following her, named like Bella. She's very attractive. I thought she was black, but she's ended up being like Latina or something like that. But she made some pretty artwork, and she made a video that she wasn't. She basically did a video explaining that she wasn't black on Facebook Live, and that she didn't want to take credit for being labeled a black woman or a black girl if that's something that she doesn't represent or feel like she represents that. Not in a negative way, but in the sense that she felt like she just wasn't at that level, and that her art was inspired by true black women or women who identify with being black truly, and that's part of their marketing strategy for themselves as far as identify themselves as black women and artists. And she was making it clear that she doesn't identify herself as that. You can start seeing people's Facebook Live group telling, "Oh, you self-hate, you're ashamed of your color, your skin, da da da." And that wasn't the case at all, because when she started listening to her video, she was explaining like, "Yo, I don't feel like I'm at that level, even though you guys are giving me those accolades. I don't feel like I'm at that level. I'm just in my humble space, feeling how I feel about who I am and where I come from, and to identify with just solely being black would be it would be disrespectful to my parents who have other culture that they have and put into me." And then the people who don't really know her like that on her Facebook, you see them comment saying crazy things, but you also see people saying, "Oh, you're great, I love you, da da da." But it made me think about my video and what I said as far as about this identity that we try to identify with being black, and understand there's two sides to this. Is crazy, right? So you got I'll say the white perspective, white America's perspective of what being black is, right? And then you got black America's perspective of what being black is, right? Now, both these two groups have their own definition of what black is. See, because white people have their definition of what black is because they created the whole language. They created the whole thing as far as what this word black and how it became to identify with people like us who are brown skinned, melanated people from Africa or just on this planet, period. Because like I said, you can go to any continent on this earth and there's going to be black people there. I mean, that means because we are everywhere, and people try to say we're everywhere because of the slave trade and all that bull, and that's not true. We were traveling the globe far before Europeans started colonialism. And so we made home in all kind of places. Brown and black people have made their home all over the earth on different continents. And we did not call ourselves black. You identify with whatever tribe you were in. So you might have been Ashanti, you might have been, I don't even know all the names of the tribes, but you identified by your tribe, and your tribe had a certain culture that it went by. You know what I'm saying? You were a tribe. Even when you go back to the 12 tribes, we'll go back biblical. Go to 12 tribes of Israel. Each tribe had a certain name. It wasn't a color, it was a name. You were the tribe of Dan. You was a Levite. You were a Cushite, or you were, you from the tribe of Judah, or you were the tribe of, I'm drawing a blank for all the different names of the tribes, but you get my point. They didn't go by just a color. And the only people in this country that go by color are black and white people. Everybody else go by nationality. You see what I'm saying? So are we lost by identifying with blackness? Because blackness is not a nation. And one thing that we lack as black people or melanated people, I like to place it, because that's really describing what your skin is melanin, as opposed to blackness. And everybody's trying to associate melanin with just blackness, when melanin is it basically manifests whatever light spectrum it needs to. So melanin also associates with blackness and brownness. I mean, it associates with brownness in other colors as well. You see what I'm saying? And so this is basically making more people inclusive to this whole human race, right? And then how so much confusion has been placed in through this English language and this understanding of what everything is through the English language. You see what I'm saying? Because you only identify with the color green because in English they told you this color is green. The Spanish is called verde. You see what I'm saying? So what's right? They're both right, right? You see what I'm saying? So we have to, when we're starting to try to label people based off their color, well, this is how this whole terrible thing of racism has started in the first place. Because you associated somebody's race with their color, and that's all they are. And if they're this color, oh, they gotta be this way. Or they gotta be scary. Or if they're white, they gotta be evil. You see what I'm saying? Saying all white people are evil is just saying like all black people are good. And we know that's not the case. As black people, we know that's not the case. Or people who so-called identify being black, we know that's not the case. All black people ain't good, just like all white people ain't bad. But we tend to get caught up in this argument, this conflict about it. And personally, I'm quite tired of it. I know who I am. I know where I came from. I know who I identify with. And the way I think, most black people don't think. Most white people don't think. So who am I? You see what I'm saying? Yeah, I got black skin. I identify with the black culture, but I don't think like half the people are my people. I actually think totally different. So that means do I not identify with my culture and who I am? No, it's not it. That means I have something to add to my culture with my difference. I can add to my culture. I can make my culture better because I don't think like everybody in my culture. I think outside the box of my culture. And I also think inside the box of my culture. I know the inside the box of my culture, but I also go outside of my box of my culture to get further knowledge, to gain further experience, to be more well-rounded, to be a master of my world, to be a master of everything around me. So I take from other cultures, I learn from other cultures, I learn from other people. I'm not gonna make myself exclusive to only black people and think that's where I'm gonna get my information from. Because then that comes into question too. Like, where is this information coming from and who and what's their agenda? No different than, like I see even people talking about, oh, if you subscribe to certain knowledge, it means you subscribe to white supremacy because white supremacy created it. Yeah, that may be true to a degree. But understand, they took the information and they took it from African culture, indigenous culture, ancient culture, and they created their white supremacist culture based off that culture. So you got to go back to indigenous culture, ancient African culture in order to understand it has nothing to do with blackness, but everything to do with culture. You see what I'm saying? Blackness was something that was given to you. That was a name given to you, no different than nigger, or any other racial slur that these people ever came up with. You know what I'm saying? If you wasn't black, then you African American. If you ain't African, you Afro American. Before you was African American, you was a Negro. Before you was a Negro, you was a boy. Before you was a boy, you was a slave. And you know what I'm saying? It goes on and on. So let's get out of these names and these titles that the same people that we are upset with have created for us. The same people that we want to distance ourselves from created these names, and we still identify. We still identify ourselves by them. You see what I'm saying? So we have to stop that. We have to end that quickly, and cut out this inner tension because somebody don't identify with something the way you do. And I'm speaking about black on black tension because a black person may not be RBG, which is the red, black, and green revolutionaries. Oh, if you don't subscribe to RBG, then you a coon. That's bullshit. That's still some old white supremacist, Willie Lynch, Jim Crow thinking, divide. And anybody who subscribes to that, you out here calling black people coons because they don't get down like you get down, or they don't get down the way you don't get down, but you claim you do. You know what I'm saying? That makes them a coon. You know, you are the agent at that point. You have become the Fed at that point. You have become the white supremacist at that point. Because all you're doing is continue the division. Because you're not intelligent enough to see your own ignorance, number one, and you're not intelligent to come up with a better way of communicating to your people how you feel about maybe some of their actions. You see what I'm saying? Now, we do it. I mean, they don't get me wrong. There is some real cooning going on, and it does need to be called out. But just because somebody don't take up the fight like you take up the fight, don't make them a coon. And it doesn't mean that we as black people go into further division. So that's my time for this video. This will be called The Idea of Being Black Part 2. And we're going to go and see where this goes from here, because I really feel like it's a big issue amongst our own people as far as identifying who each other are and connecting with your brothers and sisters, your true brothers and sisters. All right, people. That's my time. I'm out.